Welcome back. Welcome back. We'll see if this does a little bit better. It tells me I'm live. I'm waiting for confirmation on my own device. Perfect. Okay. We have confirmation. But I'm getting this error thrown again. You know what? We're just gonna power through. We might call it a short stream tonight. And then I will troubleshoot and try to fix this problem in the future. So, we have Boroth gathering information. One of the Dragonflies enters the bar. And Boroth is going to try and attempt to talk to this Dragonfly to perhaps gain some information. But what tact does Boroth take? Well, he is rugged and he has booming speech. He's cautious. He's kind of filthy. He's not doing too well, and he's traveled through the wilderness for days. What is the best approach that he can make? Perhaps... Well, let's see. The Doomed Knave knows about him, but I don't think the Doomed Knave has given any hints to the Dragonflies, especially not the underling Dragonflies. So, I think that Boroth is just going to try and ingratiate himself into the graces of this Dragonfly, and so he offers to buy the man a drink. Or maybe he just does. He walks up and sits next to this fellow in armor at the bar who looks tired because he's had a big day. You know, they had a raid on Aline's kind of headquarters and flew all the way back here, and then they've been debriefed by the Doomed Knave. And so we have Boroth go up and he says, a drink, another one of whatever he's having, and pays for the next round, and then sits next to this man. And this man, let's come up with a name for him using the Universal NPC emulator. Chobe. That's a little too close to something. I'm gonna try and... Josatel. I like that better. He is an unseemly recluse. So, kind of like Boroth. Maybe not the best guy for Boroth to be talking to. His motivations are overthrow charity, execute the populace, blight family. So this is not a good dude. This is probably the Doomed Knave's, like, inside man kind of deal. Like somebody that he's inserted in the Dragonflies to keep tabs on Evenna and make sure that they are doing what they're told. So he knows that they're not trying to pull any fast ones, because we've decided that Evenna does not want to be there. But she's useful and she's bound somehow to the Doomed Knave's will. So, this is maybe not the best guy for Boroth to talk to, but let me write that down. Josatel. Unseemly recluse. Oop, did not mean to open that. Opening random programs. Let's see. So he's an unseemly recluse who is the Knave's inserted dragonfly. His goals are to, execute the populace and blight family. So, not the guy that Boroth maybe should be talking to, but that's who he found, and potentially the guy who's going to give him a snapshot of what the Dragonflies are like, which is not going to paint Evenna in a positive light. So, Josatel, I think he'll give a grunt to Boroth for buying him a drink, but not much more, and certainly doesn't invite conversation, just kind of stares sullenly ahead. And Boroth will kind of look over and, without getting anything from this guy, just say, "That's quite the suit of armor you've got there. What material is it exactly?" And Josatel will just turn, look slightly in his direction, and say, "Chitin." Because it's insect chitin, right? And Boroth will say, "And what animal does this chitin originate from? Am I correct to assume that it is material gathered from an animal?" And the guy just kind of turns a little bit further and just gives Boroth a nasty look and just says, "Bugs." Boroth really isn't getting anywhere with this guy. How is he gonna get through to this dude? This dude who serves the Doomed Knave. I think he's gonna wait and watch. He doesn't want to push his luck, and he is a cautious sort. So Boroth is going to say, "Well, enjoy your drink." And he's gonna go back to his seat and see if anybody comes to meet this fellow. And so let's roll for that. I'm gonna give that a 50-50 shot, which means that'll be 65%. 27, yes. Somebody does come to meet him. Is it another dragonfly? 50-50 shot. Yes, it is another dragonfly. So we've decided that this is kind of the Doomed Knave's plant. So what would the other dragonfly have use for this man? Because they wouldn't be friends, right? Well, let's see. Is Evenna the odd one out? Is she the only one who's still kept around and the Dragonflies are creation of the Doomed Knave? I think that that's likely. So this will be an 85% chance. Yes. So Evenna is the odd one out. She's the only one who doesn't actually like what the Knave is doing and is serving him involuntarily. So I think that let's come up with a name for this other guy. It keeps throwing me this error. I'm not a fan of it. Alright, we're gonna try and push on for another 20-30 minutes. and then call it, because I'm sure this is not fun to be a part of. In fact, I don't think anyone's watching, because it sucks. The connection sucks. Are we even getting it? Let's see. Yeah, okay. Alright. So. He waits, Boroth waits and watches. Is this guy suspicious of him? Let's see if Boroth can make a willpower save to be kind of subtle and deceptive enough. Because probably buying somebody a drink who you don't know in the Regrets Reach Tavern is an unlikely occurrence. Natural 1, yes. So, that guy just assumes that Boroth was asking about the armor, he was curious, and then he picked up on the hint and decided to leave him alone, and so this guy, Josetel, Boroth has left his mind, because he's here to drink. So let's come up with another NPC. I'm not a fan of that name. Aldone. I like that. Aldone. And Aldone is a dragonfly. And his motivations are to... He is a glum missionary, which is kind of fitting in the Regrets Reach Tavern. And I'm using the, what is it called? The Universal NPC Emulator to generate these. A glum missionary. He is a dragonfly. His motivations are to convey magic. I like that we're kind of developing these dragonflies. It's cool to get to know them a little bit. And, ooh, convey magic, establish faith. This is the reason why I love the UNE. Because it gives you so many ideas with just 2 words. And refine lies. Just the association between 2 random words. So, Aldone is a glum missionary. He is a dragonfly. His goals are to convey magic, establish faith, and refine lies. So I think that he is a devotee of the faith of whatever the Doomed Knave is espousing. I think that his job is to convey magic, so maybe to convince people of the power of whatever it is the Doomed Knave is doing, to show that. Then to establish faith and refine lies tells me that there's definitely a aspect of deception that is drawing people in and taking advantage of them in some way. A cult taking advantage of people as sacrifices, or just taking their money, or something like that. That's kind of the Doomed Knave's goal, or at least one of them. And that is the purview of Aldone, who is this missionary. But since he is glum, perhaps he's not too fond of his work. Maybe he despises humanity in general, and thus hates dealing with them, even though it is for a worthy cause in his mind, to bring people into the service of the Doomed Knave, willing or not. And what are Josetel and Aldone talking about? Well, they're probably complaining. It is the Regrets Reach Tavern, after all. Probably about the job, though it did go pretty well. Maybe about the treatment of the Doomed Knave. I can't imagine he's an especially kind boss. Give me one moment, I need to... I've got allergies. Alright. So, they are talking, and maybe can Boroth sneak close enough to overhear? His dexterity is very bad, but we're gonna try it. Nope. That is a natural 20. So as Boroth gets close enough to make out a few words of their conversation, and hear, perhaps the complaints about the way that they're treated. Something along the lines of, you know, I wish he wouldn't talk down to us like we're miscreants. They both kind of look up as Boroth conspicuously scooches a stool up to the bar, like 2 or 3 stools down. They both kind of look over, and Josatel, who interacted with Boroth before, kind of gives him a strange look. And I think they might wrap up. They've had a drink or two. Boroth hasn't been able to hear anything, so when he makes the attempt to get closer, this is when things unfortunately go wrong, and they both decide to leave, kind of giving a look to him, and mentioning something about can't even get a drink in peace anymore. And they leave and walk together. I think Boroth is going to try and follow them. Obviously, he's not doing a fantastic job of being stealthy, but maybe he'll get lucky, and this will be where he shines. So we're gonna make another dex save for Boroth. 15. Nope, that is a failure. I need a 7 or less. So I think we have this scene where Boroth kind of looks after these two dragonflies wearing their chitinous iridescent blue armor, and he kind of steals after them, trying to be subtle but failing, and they notice him and they draw him into an alley as they walk down it, playing none the wiser. But the truth is that they are setting an ambush for Boroth, and it is too late when he kind of comes around the corner and sees one of them in front of him and kind of wonders where the other one is. And then perhaps from behind a stack of crates that he just passed, the other one steps out. And Josatel kind of says, "Now what is it exactly that you're interested in, friend?" And Boroth kind of realizes that he's caught in between these two dragonflies, and they are not armed with their spears, but I will say, let's see, I'm gonna roll. Do they have swords or short swords or even long swords? I'm gonna roll just a general fortune roll on 2d6. See how this turns out. That is an 8, so that means they have short swords. I'll say one of them has a short sword, the other a dagger. So they're not completely armed, like over. They don't completely outgun Boroth, but he's not in a great spot. He does have a shield, which I think he pulls out just in case and gets onto his arm. But he doesn't draw his dagger. Not yet, at least. And Boroth kind of looks in between the two of them and says, "Well, it seems my attempts at subtlety have failed. I'll be straight. I need something that you took. That shipment that you took from Broken Dagger, it belonged to me, and I need it back." And I think Josatel laughs. Uh-oh. I think Josatel laughs, and he says,
"Good luck. Once it gets into the hands of the knave, there ain't no way of getting it back. You might as well give up or sign over your life now. I'd be happy to end it on the end of my blade."
And Boroth says, "There's no need for violence. Not yet. This knave, the Doomed Knave, is that correct?" And they just kind of stare at him, and so he proceeds as if it were. "Where might I find an audience with him?" And they look at each other, obviously kind of chuckling at the fact that Boroth knows nothing about this town. And so they say,
"You can find him where he always is. At the ruined temple at the center of town. But if I were you, I wouldn't recommend it."
And they Boroth kind of looks back and forth and nods and remembers that he saw the kind of burnt out spire of this church in the center of town as he was gathering information earlier. And kind of nods and then looks and sees that the dragonflies are not moving. They haven't drawn their weapons, but their hands are nearby to them. And Boroth says, "Is our business concluded? Shall I go see this knave now? And let's see if he can make an impression on them. It's at least part intimidation, trying to convince them that they don't want to fight him. That he can handle himself. So let's see if he can make this willpower save to convince them to leave him be. Especially knowing he's already going to their boss." 3. Yes, that's a success. There's this moment of tension, and he kind of looks back and forth, and he doubts that he could take them both in a fair fight, but he also doubts that they'd take him down without getting some damage, and they make the same calculations, and then Josatel just kind of shoulders past Boroth. Let's see. Does Boroth take this opportunity to do anything? What does he have? No. I was thinking he might slip something to this guy, but I don't think there's really a purpose in that. He doesn't have anything necessarily that he would slip to them. So he allows himself to be kind of shouldered out of the way, and then he turns and leaves. And I think he heads to the ruined church. But I'm curious, does he come across anything on the way? And so I'm actually going to roll on the event table in my hex crawling rule set. Let us see. Does anything happen to him? 6. Nope. Nothing happens. So he makes it to this ruined church. This kind of dismal, burnt out shell of a former beauty. But there is still some haunted beauty to it. And Boroth kind of considers his options, but realizes that he's had no luck gathering information. And I think that he is just going to step into the lion's den, as it were, and step into the realm of the Doomed Knave. And I am unfortunately still getting this error and seeing that the stream is buffering, and I am very sorry about all these technical issues. But I think as Boroth walks into the sanctum of the Doomed Knave, that is where we are going to halt this buffering, buggy stream and pick up next week. I know it was a short one, divided into 2 separate kind of mini streams as we tried to fix those issues by restarting the stream. But, yes, like I said, I apologize for technical issues. I will try my hardest to get those fixed up for next week. But we did a few things. Boroth gathered some information. He had an encounter with the Dragonflies that he managed to avoid getting into combat with them. And he made his way to the church, where the Doomed Knave resides. And he is going to walk right into that den and perhaps encounter Evenna, too. Which is a shame that we didn't get to meet her this session, considering that she is the namesake for the title. But, that's something to look forward to for next week. And so, with that, I bid you adieu, and as always, good night, mortals.